Hello, welcome back to my channel. So, I know it has been a long time. It has been a very busy weeks for all of us, but as promised, I'm back. So, yeah, in this video is I'll be sharing to you our lesson 4 discussion in the subject of ethics. So we will focus on the idea of deontology and universalizability. So it's quite confusing to pronounce, but we will try to make it simple and very easy for you to understand this topic. Okay, but before I'll do that, I would like to say thank you to all my viewers and to all my subscribers for your support and for all your positive comments throughout my videos. I really do appreciate all of those. So to those who are new to my channel, please do subscribe. So our main goal here is to reach out a lot of students who are currently undergoing their online classes. So if you find it hard to comprehend or to understand the subject of ethics, so please do subscribe, share, and please give me your comments so we can improve more, so I can do more with all my videos. Okay, so let's start. Let's get the ball rolling. So I know you are all excited to listen to this topic. This is very a bit of confusing, but I'll try to share all my thoughts, all my understanding in this subject. So let's start with the idea of deontology. Okay, so what is deontology? So based on research, so deontology is this is the idea, this is the study of duty and obligation. So when you try to analyze things based on your duties or based on your obligation, therefore you are talking about the idea of deontology. And the main proponent of deontology is Immanuel Kant. So he talks about the idea of deontology. And according to him, nga kung kahibaw daw ka mo evaluate sa imuhang action, sa imong gibuhat, therefore you are doing the idea of deontology. So therefore maka-analyze ka kung ningbuhat di ka og something nga wala nimo gi-evaluate kung sakto ba na siya or dili para nimo, therefore you are not practicing the idea of deontology. So what is the purpose of Immanuel Kant? Nganong ning istorya siya ani? Why he kept on telling us the idea of deontology? Because according to him, we as human beings, we are rational being. We have our rational will. So when you talk about rational, naatay panguna-huna. Therefore, kung naakay panguna-huna, kay bawsad ka mo sabot kung sakto ba na imong gibuhat or mo evaluate sa imong gibuhat kung sakto ba na siya or dili. It's because you are or we are a rational being. We have the capacity to act according to our principles that we determine for ourselves. Therefore, naatay abilidad nga kahibaw ta mo tan-aw no kung sakto ba na siya, kung fit pa ba na sa akong prinsipyo or dili na. Kung fit ba na nga akong gibuhat sa unsay naan ako nga prinsipyo sa kinabuhi or dili na ba siya fit? Di na ba siya maayo para sa akong kaugalingon? So we are called rational. So therefore, kung we are rational being, therefore, kahibaw ta maguna-huna. Therefore, bright ta. Right? Okay? We are rational. We know how to think. We know how to evaluate ourselves. We know how to act according to our principles. Okay, so let's get into a deeper discussion when you talk about rational will. So naatay panguna-huna. So let's try to differentiate the between animals and person. O sa may common nato sa mga animals ug sa tao. So ringon sila, kita ko no, we interact with our surroundings, right? Ang tao mo interact ta sa atong external environment. The same with animals. Ang mga hayop pod mo interact pod na sila sa ilang environment. That's why ang mga hayop, kung naay, for example, ang snake, kung i-threaten na sila, mo-react yun na sila, mamaak. Ang iro po, kung imo na silang pasakitan, mo-react po na sila. Ang tao po kuno the same thing. So that is our common ground sa animals o sa person. Ang tao, we as human beings is we react to our surroundings. So in short, we are the same with the animals. But what makes us different, according to Immanuel Kant? So what makes us different is we have our rational. We are rational being. Right? People are rational. Ang animals, mo react man sila sa environment, pero dili na sila maghuna-huna kung sakto ba na ilang gibuhat o dili. Kay mo react raman sila. Mo defend raman sila silang kaugalingon. They don't know how to evaluate themselves kung sakto ba na or dili. Pero ang tao daw, we evaluate our actions because we are rational. So therefore, kung ang mga hayop makasa sila, kinsa may mingon nga sayop ang gibuhat sa hayop, di ba kita man? Because we are rational being. We know how to think what is right or wrong for us. Okay, so part of being rational being, ang tao kuno kita, we have our mental faculty. So meaning na ako no tay daghang gihuna-huna, right? We are so surrounded with our mental thoughts. We know how to construct our ideas, na atay mga gusto nga buhaton, natay mga mental abstraction, right? Mao ni akong buhaton, mao ning structure, mao ni akong gusto. That is beyond our immediate surroundings. Murag lawng tagpanghuna-huna, no? Kay nakakita na ka nga ani ay imong surroundings, but you are thinking deeply, you are thinking more that is beyond your immediate surroundings. Dili ka mo think lang sa unsay nakita. You are thinking deeply. You know how to think deeper, right? Because we are rational being. That's why kung naay mo buhat ani, na ana po'y laing mo kunahuna nga dili dapat ato ning buhaton ani. Na musumpay na pud ang usa, dili mo ni siya dapat nindot ni siya. So that's why mas munindot because of our rationality, right? Because we keep on transforming sa mga butang nga unsay nakita nato. That's why ang cellphones una ingani siya, but later on grabe na nag-evolve. That's because of our rationality. Okay? So that is the idea of Immanuel Kant. So here, so let's try to see nganong ang tao maka-create mga mental abstraction, right? Na atay mga images nga ganahan ta. And part of it, so meaning kung tao ka, we have the ability to stop and think about what we are doing. So according to deontology, Immanuel Kant clearly stated that we as human beings, we know how to stop and think about what we are doing. Di ta pwede mo ingon nga, sige, buhata lang na siya, pero nakaibaw na kang sayop siya, buhaton hapon ni mo, no. Kaya ang tao kuno, we are rational, we have the rational will. Kung kaibaw ka mohunong, kung tanaw nimo nasakitan na ka, kaibaw sad ka mo change sa imuhang, mo transform sa imong kinabuhi kung tanaw nimo dili na sakto ang imong padulngan. Okay? That's the idea of deontology, and I also agree sa ilahang idea no nga. Yes, you can stop for a while, you can think for a while sa atong sitwasyon no, because we are rational. Manang usahay sa sobra na to ka rational, we are thinking more deeply, manang usahay no nga maglibog na sad ta sa atong gibuhat. Manang usahay, sometimes you need to relax and stop for a while and think wisely kung unsay saktong buhaton. Okay. So I hope that you are following my discussion. No? So let's try to continue with this idea. It's because of our mental obstruction, daghan jud ma-think ang tao. And daghan tag mabuhat. And tungod kay daghan tag mabuhat, daghan tag ma-create for ourselves, ma-create nga maayo para sa atong kaugalingon. Okay, napiuban sige na lang tag hunahuna, una-huna, pero usahay affected na data. Okay, so ang tao kuno, we have two construction. Nakuno tayo, there are two types of mental construction sa tao. The first construction sa tao is we imagine things. Right? Manaingon sila, even in my wildest imagination, grabe kita mo imagine. The first construction sa ato ang sa tao kuno is we do our imagination. We imagine things, right? We know how to imagine things. And the second construction is we implement sa butang nga atong gi-imagine. Right? Nag-imagine na ka, mani akong gustong mabuhat sa akong kinabuhi. Kay gusto na imagine na nimo nga mao na imong gustong mabuhat sa imong kinabuhi, therefore you implement. That is the second construction. So man na siya kay na-imagine naman na nimo, so meaning imo na siyang buhaton. So if you are thinking about becoming a nurse someday, that's why you are taking up BS in nursing. If you're thinking to become a doctor someday, that's why you are continuing your education because you're imagining it. Because you are thinking someday you will become the person nga ganahan ka. Okay, so grabe ang atong imagination. It all started with our imagination, and then after that is the implementation of what you are imagining for yourself. Take note, through the capacity for our imagination and reflection, kanang nag-imagine na ka and then you try to reflect about yourself, that is the time that you can possibly change yourself. Or, mabuhat pa nimo nga mas munindot pa imong kinabuhi, the world you live in. It all started with your reflection and imagination. Then you can change the world or even yourself. You can change yourself. For example, ako, I am really imagining myself to become a psychologist, to become a licensed guidance counselor. Since nakapasar na ako sa psychometrician, it all started with all my imagination. Because of that imagination and reflection, I try to implement it for myself and then it happens. Right? So, nindot po din mag-imagine ka sa imong kaugalingon so that you have your own rational will. The will. Tungod kinaghunahuna ka, dapat imo dyan ang buhaton. You have the will. Ingon sila, if there's a will, sana, if there's a will daw, naadyo kuno na po na paagi. If there's a will, there's a way, right? So, mana siya. So, dapat naadyo kay rational will. Okay, so gisumpay na nila, di lang ta rational being, we also have the rational will. Okay, so we do not rely sa ato alang imagination and construction, no? Dili lang ta di lang kuno ta magdepende sa unsay na construct sa atong hunahuna or unsay gi-imagine sa atong hunahuna, but we also have the ability to act on those mental images. Okay, so kay bao po daw ta mulihok. Di lang kay puro ka huna-huna, kay bao po daw ka mulihok. Okay? Because you have the rational will. Kaya nagunahuna ka, therefore mulihok ka. Okay, that's the idea of Immanuel Kant. Okay, so ang atong abilidad nga mulihok, mo ni nag-ingon that we are a rational, that we have rational will. The will to act, the will to survive, and the will to pursue life. Kung sa'y ganahan nato. Okay? Pero, dapat po ang atong rational will consistent na sa atong reason. Right? Dapat kung mubuhat kag something, di lang kay puro lang mubuhat lang ko kay ganahan ko. Dapat mubuhat ka sa mong rational will. Dapat consistent. It is consistent with your reason. Dapat nakairason when you are doing that. It's not all about doing it for nothing. It's all about doing it because you have your own reason. Munayin mo push sa tao. That's why naayuban nga bisan wala sila kwarta, no, they are still pursuing their dreams. Why? Because they have the rational will. Ganahan sila, they imagine, wala nila ma-imagine nilang self nga di sila kahuman. They are imagining themselves that they are successful someday. That's why we need to have our mental construct. para mo ni mo push na to nga maningkamot, that to do better, to do our best in everything that we do. Ang mga animals, the only base, mulihok sila based lang sa ilahang natural instinct, sa ilang mga base impulses ba. Manang muatake na sila, mulihok na sila. But kita, mulihok ta, yes, we react to our environment, external surroundings, but before we react, we think first. Dapat na ay rason. We do not base on our instinct, we do not base our action lang sa base impulses or internal impulses. We humans have the ability to stop and think about what we are doing, to evaluate our actions according to principles. Bingon ka, mao ba? Nagbuhat siya ana. So dili ka diretso mo atake ang tao kuno dili diretso mangaway. Iya sang sabton kung nganong mangaway man ko. What's the purpose ng awayon man tika? So let me think first. Kung say sakto or dili saktong buhaton, mao daw na ang tao. According to Immanuel Kant. Dili diretso mo atake, dili diretso lang mag-base sa internal impulses or instinct. You also have your ability to stop and think about what you are doing. Okay, so this means that we do not simply react to the environment. The cause of our action is based on our reason. So kung muliho kuno ka, nadyo kay rason. Right? You act based on your reason. It dili siya makaingon nga tungod lang sa imong internal impulses. Okay. So, since ang tao naamon tay rational will, so we have the freedom to do what is good or right or not good for us. In human freedom, we are called agent. Diba? You can choose this one, I can choose that one. Nata, we all have the freedom to choose what is right or wrong for us. But sometimes, tungod sa freedom nga atong ginaingon, sometimes sayo po atong mapili, no? Managingon, di po sakto nga grabe ang freedom because sayo masayop ta, kay tao man ta. Okay, so we have the ability to act based on our intentions and mental states. Kung unsay naa sa imong hunahuna, posible mapunay mong buhaton. Okay, so ang ato ang duty kani atong gibuhat. Example kani, this is part of my duty and obligation to all my viewers, no. This is called my human experience. And I love my human experience because I was able to share, to uplift at least mugaan ang feeling sa mga students while learning. Right? So, that's why I'm doing this because kinsa may nag-push na ako, it's my rational will. Right? Wala di ingon nga na ako'y makuha nga dako jud. It's all about sharing my thoughts, sharing my understanding. So, muna naghimo ko ni nga channel. So, part of it soon, hopefully maabot na to atong goal. So, I'll improve more about myself. That's part of my rational will. Okay, so because of that, we cannot deny the fact no that there is tension between our internal impulses and our rational will. Usahay daw kay natay freedom, usahay daw mag-conflict ang atong rational will o ang ato ang gusto as a person. Nga mag-conflict man. For example, na kay gusto paliton. That is part of your base impulses, right? Internal impulses. Pero sa imong unahuna, ayaw sa palita. Kay pambayad na tuition fee. Kung mupalit ka na, wala kay pang tuition, kasabaan kasi mong mama. Therefore, there is tension between your base impulses and your rational will. Okay, so hopefully nasabtan. So another property of rational will is our autonomy. So when you talk about autonomy, this is the opposite of heteronomy, right? Autonomy means self-law. So when you talk about autonomy, meaning ikaw mao'y nag-set og balaod sa imong kaugalingon. When you talk about heteronomy means ang laing tao mao'y naghatag og balaod para sa imong kaugalingon. So for example, when we were still young, papatakahibaw noong say sakto or dili sakto. That's why na atay parents, ang atong parents maingon nga you need to brush your teeth. Mingon mo ka why? Right? So, ma-explain ni mong mama. So, ang nag-implement anak nga law is sila. Gitawag na sila heteronomy because ilaha man ang balao that I need to brush my teeth. Pag brush na kong teeth, nasud na sa akong system, naging part na sa akong pagiging ako, that's why every day I always brush my teeth. So, dili na kinahanglan nga sila, nga magsige sila advice ako to brush my teeth, ako ana, nahimo na siyang autonomy, nahimo na siyang self-law. Kaya na part naman sa pagiging ako. Okay, so that's the idea of autonomy and heteronomy. Okay, so we are the subject to the law. Mayroon tag subject, ako subject ko sa law. Right? So, kung instructor ka, dapat mutudlo ka. So, that's why I'm doing this. Kung estudyante ka, dapat maningkamot ka. Right? That's why you are doing this also. Lisod man tinuod, pero sahay, this is part of being a student. So, natay gitawag nga self-law o napotay gitawag nga other law. Nga lang mo comply man ka sa mga requirements sa imong instructor. Kami ang authority figure, right? Kami ang nag-implement. Kitawag na siya heteronomy. Kung ako ang nag-implement para musunod ka. Ning sunod man ka, meaning kung na ako yung mga requirement, naanad na ka, nga na ako yung mga requirement, mahimo na siya autonomy. Because imo na part na sa imong system. Okay. So, man siya no nga dapat daw nga kita isip ko sa katao dapat makahibaw jud ta mupili no unsa tong tan-aw nimo nga sakto para nimo o ang ubang tao pod nga tan-aw pod nimo ang ilang gisulti sa imo sakto pod. Right, kanaman tay self-law and then the other law. Kung tanaw nimo ang gisugo sa mga tao, sa laing tao is dili sakto para nimo, balik ka sa imong self-law. Pero kung tanaw nimo ang gisugo sa laing tao maayo para nimo, then dapat ang self-law o ang other law imo na siyang timbangon. Dapat kay balo ka mo evaluate. Right? Kung saan nimo pag-adjust sa mga law nga gi-implement nila para sa imuha. Okay, so there is a difference between our choice and decision. Right? Kaya ang choice daw nato or ang kanang ato ang gusto ba? Ang choice daw nato is dictated na siya sa ato ang mga desire. Diba na atay mga choice nato nga kanang didictate sa ubang tao. Pero usahay maglibog ka kung sakto ba na siya nga imong sundon or dili. Manang usay according to deontology dapat kahibaw jud ka mo musabot no kung kani ba imong buhaton based ra ba ni sa imong desire or kung kani imong buhaton naa ba kay rason. So dapat dapat tanan natong buhaton kay tao man ta dapat na siya reason. Although ang tao na putay mga gusto pero dapat ang ato ang pag-decide sa atong kaugalingon dapat naka-base pud siya sa unsay ato ang desire at the same time ug unsa pud ang atong rason nganong ning buhat ka. Okay, so natay our action is dictated by our pure reason and our action is dictated by our desire. Right, manang usahay nganong mubuhat man ka kay nalipay man ko. Nganong ning undang man kag eskwela because I was hurt. So meaning na siya sa ato ang desire no. Pero dapat naapo na siya rason nganong ning buhat ka ana sa kabutang. Okay. So take note that there are two possible causes of our action. We have that our action is influenced by our sensible impulses and faculty of reasons. Okay, naatay sensible nga mga impulses like our emotions, sentiments, sa mga desire, mga gusto, ug naaputay lahi-lahi nga rason nganong ning buhat ka ana. So that's according to deontology. Now let's move on with universalizability. So what do you mean by universalizability. So Immanuel Kant also discusses this idea. So according to Immanuel Kant, there are there are there are he called this one the categorical imperative. So for us kuno to understand our universalizability, we need to understand our formal kind of moral theory. So what does it mean? Kani kunong ang tao kuno na ako no gitawag nga categorical imperative na atay framework, na atay procedure kung unsay tan-aw nimo nga sakto or dili sakto para nimo. Naa kay sumbanan, right? Ako na ako'y framework sa sakto ug sa dili. Ikaw pod na kay framework sa sakto ug sa dili. Og ikaw ug ako mulihok ta based sa ato ang subjective nga pagsabot. Right? So ayan gitawag ni siyang maxim. Nga niingon siya nga tungod kay ang tao kasi klase man tag framework, kasi klase putag maxim kanang balaod nga ato ang gibuhat sa adlaw-adlaw natong pagpanginabuhi. So, do you think na kay balaod? Yes. Do you think na ko'y balaod? Yes. I also have my own rules akong kaugalingon. Okay? Kung mananggingon nila, ang sakto para nimo, dili sakto para sa uban. Ang dili sakto para sa uban, sakto para nimo. Because we have different framework and we have different maxim. We are so subjective. Maxim means subjective principle of action. Right? So, mana siya ang ato ang balaod nga atong gidaladala sa atong kinabuhi. Manang, nga nung eskwela man ko, nga nung sige mo kung eskwela, nga kapoy masig eskwela. Kapoy para nimo, pero dili kapoy para nako. Kilingaw man ko. Ay, nag-engineer man ko, ay kapoy-kapoy man na, sulasos kinabuhi. Hassle para nimo, pero dili hassle para nako. What makes us different? Because we have different framework, we have different maxim that we have sa ato ang kinabuhi. Okay, so there are four key elements of the categorical imperative. We have the action, the maxim, the will, and the universal law. So when you talk about maxim, mana siya ang pattern sa imong behavior. Maxim ba? Kano bang habits? Kanang ginabuhat nimo adlaw-adlaw, mana siya maxim. Manang usahay, kung ganahan ko ka makasabot sa tinuod nga batasan sa tao, tanawa iyang maxim or ang pattern sa iyang batasan. Kay makita na ganan imong pattern sa iyang batasan, therefore makaingon ka, posible ingana na siya nga tao. It's because mao na gipakita niya every day sa iyang kinabuhi. Diba? Dili ka makaingon sa tao nga ingana siya based lang sa usa ka sitwasyon. Dapat daw, you talk about universal law, dapat daw makita nimo ang pattern sa iyang behavior. Okay? So take note ha, ang tao, we act according to a variety of maxim. Manang libog sabton ang tao. Because we are so overwhelmed with the different patterns or behaviors nga gipakita sa ilaha. So even if sa imong nag-uyab na mo how many long years, but still you are so confused with the personality of the person. Because we act according to a variety of maxim. So usahay pod kay naanad na ka nga imo nang gibuhat, usahay you are not aware of them. Mauba mo nang usahay Johari's window no, things nga nakahibaw ka o things nga ang uban nakahibaw ka pero wa sila kahibaw ka pero wa sila kahibaw. So wala siya ang Johari's window ba? Okay, because there are things that you don't know that I know and there are things that I know that you don't know. So, wala siya, no? So, this is our standard operating procedure. Kana bang balik-balik nimong batasan ba? Right? So, mana siya nga, daghan jud kaayo man ang usahay when understanding your personality, no? Manang usahay libog siya because we act according to a variety of maxim. Okay, so tanawa lang nga habits, the way siya mo reason out, posible makakuha ka. So let's try to expound the idea of universalizability. So let's talk about the idea of Immanuel Kant when you talk about universal law. So, according to Immanuel Kant, the only way to know if that is a universal law, the first thing to consider is it should be consistent with self. And the second idea is it should contradict itself. So, what does it mean? It sounds so confusing, right? So, let's try to explain this better. So, when you talk about universal law, dapat permanente, consistent sa imong kaugalingon. At the same time, usahay po daw ang atong pagsabot sa ato ang kaugalingon is mo contradict po ng ubang tao kay tan-aw nila sayop ang atong pagsabot. So therefore, naatay mga pagsabot nga nagtuo ta nga sakto na siya, consistent sa atong kaugalingon, pero mo contradict pod sa ubang tao. So that is the idea of Immanuel Kant when you talk about universal law. Okay? Nagtuo ka nga na ka, pero usahay po daw kung naay makaistorya ni mga laing tao, makaingon po gabi tao no, sayop man ko. Okay, so that is the idea of Immanuel Kant about universal law. So, universal law means that if I do this action, if I take an action, dapat ang tanang tao ning buhat pud ana ang action. So that is universal law. And perfect example of this is karon nga time that we are doing online classes. Ang atong mga students karon, they are embracing the new ways of learning no because of the pandemic. So naging consistent na siya sa ato ang kaugalingon. So since naging consistent na siya, murag di na ta maglisod, it becomes a universal law. Pero naay uban nga ning contradict sa ilahang pagsabot sa ilang kaugalingon, manang mingon sila naglisod sila. Tungod kay naglisod sila, wala nila ga-embrace ang universal law. Right? So sometimes natay universal law nga consistent but at the same time mo contradict pud sa ato ang pagsabot sa atong kaugalingon. Okay, nagtuo ta nga ang kinabuhi is sayon, but as we go along with life, therefore naka-realize ta, uy, sayop di akong pagsabot. Life isn't easy at all. It takes a lot of hardship, trials, and struggles. So that's the idea of Immanuel Kant when you talk about universal law. So hopefully nasabtan nato og klaro what is the idea of universal law. So dili daw ta makaingon that is a universal law if ning kontra na sa atong kaugalingon, sa atong kaugalingong pagsabot, at the same time lisod pod sa imong kaugalingon nga imo nang buhaton, murag imposible na nimo siyang mabuhat. Therefore, it is not considered as universal law according to Immanuel Kant. Iyan ang gi-reject nga idea. Right? Ang accept lang ni Immanuel Kant, the meaning of universal law is if I do this action, everybody should also be doing it. Okay, thank you so much for listening. I really hope that you are learning from all the videos that I've posted. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as much as possible, let's our main goal here is to reach out to all students out there who are struggling for their online classes. At least I am able to help a bit of your struggles and sacrifices in these times of pandemic. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again for our lesson 5 discussion in the subject of ethics. Thank you and God bless.